Good evening, everyone. Oh, you can do better than that. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you. I want everyone to use their church voice.
Yes.
Since I'm at Good Shepherd Chapel, I'm not sure if I should talk to you about my office or if I should sing, because this is a beautiful, beautiful chapel. I'll sing later, okay?
Yeah.
So, first let me thank Senator Serrano for that wonderful and warm introduction. That was really kind of him and very touching words. And of course, my new BFF, the Assemblywoman Rebecca Seawright, who's doing an amazing job in Albany. Again, another round of applause to my colleagues in government. So, my name is Letitia James, but everyone refers to me as Tish. All of my friends call me Tish. And now, since all of you are now part of my family, please refer to me as Tish. Okay? Okay, great. And we are kicking off the New York City Senior Week. And I want to thank all the sponsors here today. But before I begin, I think it is only proper that we take a moment of silence in recognition of Mr. Scaleo, who passed away earlier this year. Shallow, and has left a legacy of valor, commitment, and leadership. If we could just have a moment of silence for Mr. Shallow, that would be proper and in order and decent for a man who has done so much for Roosevelt Island. Thank you. Throughout his 37 years on Roosevelt Island, he was an enthusiastic member of the Roosevelt Island Senior Association, serving as the president of the organization for many years, and he was the model of public service. We should all strive to emulate all that he has done. He was not interested in titles or recognition, but in dedicating his time and his life to aiding others. And as a result, again, I want to thank you for joining me. So, most individuals say, what is a public advocate? What's the role of a public advocate? What exactly do you do, right? So the public advocate, we've had 4 public advocates in the history of the city of New York. The first being Mark Green, right? The second being Betsy Gottbaum, the third being Bill de Blasio, and the fourth, Letitia James. The public advocate is second in line to the mayor of the city of New York. God forbid if anything should happen to Mayor de Blasio, the public advocate steps in that role for at least 6 weeks before there's a general election. The Office of Public Advocate serves as checks and balances on the mayor as well as the city council. The public advocate also has a legislative role. I serve ex officio on the city council, and I preside over the city council hearings. In fact, if you can't sleep at night, I don't know what channel it is out in Roosevelt Island, but if you really want to be put to sleep, just turn to the city council hearings or the city council stated hearings, and you'll usually see me preside over the council meetings, and that's better than warm milk, and I'm confident that you will go to sleep there shortly thereafter. So the public advocate introduces legislation. We've introduced a number of pieces of legislation in the city council. We've introduced legislation on individuals who are aging out of foster care. We've introduced legislation on housing. We've introduced legislation on the fact that a significant number of individuals, unfortunately, do not have retirement security, and more individuals who work in private sectors are living now without a pension. And so it's time that we examine the issue of retirement security in the city of New York. We are also looking at the issue in the city of New York with regards to aging out of foster care, as well as making sure New York City is more hospitable to individuals who are of a certain age. I think that's really critically important. And we've introduced a wide range of other pieces of legislation, and I must say that we've passed quite a few since we've been public advocate. We also sit on the NYC's board, the pension board in the city of New York. And just most recently, we were able to get a resolution passed examining the issue of why we invest in a retail operator which unfortunately sells the largest number of guns, and that is Walmart. Your pension dollars for municipal workers, we unfortunately invest in Walmart to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. And as most of you know, Walmart is the largest retailer of guns in this country. And I just don't believe that we should be providing resources to Walmart to continue to sell products that cause so much death on the streets of New York City. Thank you. And so we want to study that issue because we want to know what the implications are of any divestment from Walmart, because we want to be prudent and we want to be fiscally responsible, and so we're asking for a study. In addition to that, we are also asking the NYC's board to look at how we can use the pension dollars to invest and build more affordable housing. Believe it or not, we invest in a wide range of things on the NYC's board, which is one of 5 pension systems in the city. We invest in a wide range of things. The question is, how much money are we investing in affordable housing for preservation and to build affordable housing? And I think that's what the NYC's board should begin to look at. We do invest in some affordable housing, but I believe we should expand our portfolio. And I also believe that we can get good returns for retirees, and that it's not just a socially conscious investment, but it's an investment, I believe, that will inure to the benefit of retirees, and that's something that we should examine in the city, as part of the NYC's board. I sit on a number of other commissions. I sit on a voting assistance commission, and I sit on a committee that examines technology, and we're looking at technology in the city of New York, looking at our contracts in particular, trying to determine whether or not we should negotiate with some of our some of these companies which provide us with broadband and fiber, to see whether or not we're getting the biggest bang for our buck in the city of New York, whether or not we are providing access to the internet, particularly in communities which unfortunately do not have access to the internet or have spotty access to the internet, and whether or not we can be providing that service to individuals who unfortunately are living in poverty. And providing more broadband service, providing more service to individuals, to our libraries, to our public parks, and to public spaces all throughout the city of New York. I think we need to create more hot spots all throughout the city of New York, including but not limited to Roosevelt Island. So that's what the Public Advocate does. We issue a number of reports, and then most recently, since I've been Public Advocate and I happen to be an attorney, we are using the courts more and more to look at pattern and practice cases. What do I mean by that? Patterns of cases which affect policy in the city of New York. The Office of Public Advocate, we are looking to file litigation lawsuits, joining with other law firms in the city of New York, which impact policy in the city. What do I mean by that? There were some senior citizens who were living in a Mitchell-Lama development in Manhattan. There was a developer who wanted to convert their building from a 5-unit building to a 15-unit condo. This developer filed a false instrument with an HPD saying no one lived there. It was empty. But there was a senior citizen who happened to be in a wheelchair who contacted our office and said, "Oh no, I live there. I live on the top floor. Come and visit me." Well, I did. And in fact, there was a false document that was attached to the wall, to the door, basically saying they were doing all of this development, they were doing asbestos removal, whatever. This senior citizen was living on the top floor with her grandchildren, and she suffered from asthma. We immediately filed a lawsuit to stop all action, because that individual, that developer, had filed a false instrument at HPD, and no one bothered to check to see whether or not, in fact, that document was true, and it was blatantly false. We were able to stop that work order, and we were able to stop that conversion, and that senior citizen now lives in that building. We were able to file a lawsuit against the Department of Finance because they were dropping individuals who were beneficiaries of SCREE and DREE. You all know SCREE and DREE. They benefit the senior citizens and they benefit individuals who are disabled. Well, the Department of Finance, for some reason, was dropping individuals who had been receiving DREE and SCREE. And for some reason, they just decided not to renew their benefits. And they were contacting our office. They said that there was a change in the rules and that they notified individuals, but unfortunately they we were seeing in our office, we were developing a pattern that in fact they had not been notifying a sufficient number of seniors. Well, we were able to file an action against the Department of Finance. It happened to be in the New York Times. All of a sudden, I get an immediate letter and a phone call from the commissioner saying, "Oh, what are you doing? Why are you suing me? Why can't you pick up the phone?" And my response was, we did. We spoke to your office on a number of occasions, to the point where we had to file litigation because, unfortunately, you were ignoring our calls. All of those individuals who were dropped from DRE and SCREE as a result of the work of the public advocate now all have DRE and SCREE. So those are the types of cases that we've sued. We filed a lawsuit again in Manhattan. I hate to hit, I'm not beating up on Manhattan. I'll get to Brooklyn in a minute. In Manhattan, one individual, a developer, a complex in Manhattan that was built market rate. There was some affordable. They had a beautiful gymnasium. They told the individuals who were receiving subsidies that you could not use the gymnasium. It's only for market rate tenants. Sorry. Because you are getting subsidies from the city, you're not entitled to use the gymnasium. Well, we contacted Human Rights. Human Rights agreed with us that in fact it was a violation of the law, and now everyone can use the gym, and that's as a result of the public. And then last but not least, as we've been joined by the great borough president of Manhattan, Gail Brewer, let's give her a round of applause. And lastly, the one case, we have a worst landlord list where we basically highlight and try to embarrass all the landlords in the city of New York who unfortunately are allowing individuals to live in conditions which threaten their safety and their health. As a result of our actions, we brought one particular case to Brooklyn where a developer had basically destroyed bathrooms and kitchens in Bushwick. Most of the tenants were immigrants, and as a result of this landlord's work, the families were so afraid they had to take their children to McDonald's to wash up every day so that they can go to school. The landlord, in fact, even rented out one of the apartments to these thugs who was basically intimidating these women with children. As a result of the work that we've done, we went to the district attorney in Brooklyn and had that landlord arrested. I'm really proud of that one. No mother should have to live under fear, and no mother should have to take their child to McDonald's to wash up each and every day, particularly when they're paying their rent. It's wrong. So, tonight I really want to focus on the issues that affect Roosevelt Island, and that's why we decided to kick off this senior event. I know that there are a number of pressing issues, and I hope that you will allow me to go through some of the issues that we have become aware of.